Toyeshe Luashego. Hello, how you doing today? Ambrose Farmer Daniel. Hi, hi. Hope you're doing good. Uh, Gyeongang Brian. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly, please. How you doing this today? Yeah. Joy Como. Hi, Nancy Oluyede Adewale, Precious John. You know, let's just get to familiarize ourselves a little. So just type, let us know where you're joining from, the states you're joining from, the country you're joining from. Let's get to know each other. We're not just here to listen to me speak or the other guest speakers speak, but we are also here to make friends, to get to meet new people. And this is how it's done. So I want to see where are you connecting from, just chat. Let me know where you're connecting from. I'm in UK, but originally from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, Catherine. Yes, you are. Who else is chatting? I need to know where you're connecting from. Please, 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 please. Use the chat box. Let's get to know ourselves more. Oluyade is in Lagos. Great. Joy Como is chatting from Calabar, Cross River State, Nigeria. Beautiful. I'm in Yaoundé, Cameroon. Nancy, that's so cool. Good to connect with you. Ambrose is from Yola, Adamawa. Beautiful. That's the beauty of technology, at least. If we cannot travel to all these countries, at least we can connect virtually and we can still get to experience these countries, even though we are not there physically, just by connecting with every one of us. So yeah, guys, I'm just trying to buy more time. I think I want to give about 10 minutes before we start, so that people are connecting. I know that some are having internet issues. So that's why I'm giving 10 minutes to people to join properly. So yes, please, let's join. Oh. I'm from Gail Bryan is from Nairobi, Kenya, an accounting student. Beautiful. Thanks for joining today. Thank you. Elijah Kalu is joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Great. Just give me one second. Good day, I'm Lizzie Allen. I'm connecting from Kano, Nigeria. Hi, Lizzie. How are you doing today? I hope it's not too sunny this afternoon in Kano. The last time I was in Kano, I think something I did not enjoy was the sun. It was really, really hot. So I hope that's not the experience this afternoon. Okay. We have 4 more minutes. Yes. Before we hit the ground running.
Hello? Hello?
All right, guys, it's time. So I'll just start while others would definitely join us. Okay, Kano is sunny, but God is helping, definitely. Well done, Lizzie. Well done, Lizzie. I'd like to formally welcome everybody to the Techy Accountant Summit. This is our third edition, and it's our third edition. And typically, let me tell you what normally leads to a summit. So this summit is also the closing ceremony for the Techy, for participants that has gone through our Techy accountant course for 3 months. So today also they get to graduate, after 3 months of going through the academy. In a few minutes, a few of them will be telling you about their experience. Definitely certain that it has, it was quite stressful, but, they saw it to the end, they did their best. And here we are, having this summit. But typically, instead of just doing the summit for them, we open it up to other people also to get to learn. And that brings me to what Techy Accountant is all about, right? I'm sure a lot of you have seen us online. You're not certain about what we are all about. But Techy Accountant is a global leading initiative aimed at empowering finance professionals at all levels of their career through practical learning. Practical learning is what we do with our academy. Yes, we achieve that with our academy, both the virtual and physical academy. We have different courses that we will normally take. During the course of the event, we'll definitely tell you more about that. Shared knowledge, this is achieved through our community, right? If you've not been to our website, I think I'll just share my screen right now so that you get to see our community and you see what we are all about. So this is our community. I want to go to our community right now. So you can see that's our website. I just clicked on join community, but I'm already joined. Okay, oh good, I'm not logged in on the system. So I'll just go to explore, but that's how you can join. So this is our community. There are different conversations. going on a daily basis. Why should we hire you? Accountants needed. We post job opportunities also in our community. You can see different topics being discussed from time to time. 4 CV meets to debunk, 6 tips for accountants to market and sell their advisory services, and different different subjects. In fact, the whole idea is that we created a safe space for finance professionals to ask their questions, regardless of your level, regardless of wherever you are in the world, and so that we can all learn from the experience of different finance professionals in different part of the world. Now that with the advent of technology, I say that the world has become smaller, because even without being in a country, I can get to work. There's a lot of outsourcing going on right now, whereby companies source for talents, not even in their country, but outside the country, and they still get the job done. So basically, as finance professionals also, we decide to create a community, a safe space in the sense that you can register with your nickname if you feel embarrassed that, or maybe you're uncertain that your question is reasonable or not, so that you don't feel off. Or so the community is there for you to just ask your questions, no matter what it is. You get someone to respond to you, either someone in Nigeria or in Cameroon or in Kenya. Someone will definitely respond to you, telling you that this is how I think you should go about it. So I'll encourage you all to definitely pay a visit to our community. So, and the third way we are achieving that is through mentorship. So through cutting edge mentorship. Typically, when you go through our academy, there's always mentorship embedded in it. And that's what we are all about. As I said, we want to empower finance professionals. And I'll tell you other things also that we are working on. There's something called Hire for Africa. Now we are creating a platform whereby, you're not even the one looking for jobs. It's actually the employers getting to reach out and saying that, oh, we really need your service, or we need to hire you. We'll definitely tell you about that as we make progress. And a little background to what brought about Techy Accountants. So please pardon my manners. I just realized I didn't even say my name. So please pardon my manners. I didn't even tell you my name. Please, apologies. I'm not supposed to be the one to be hosting this event, but the person in charge is actually stuck in traffic, Lagos traffic to be precise. So that's why I'm here. So please pardon my manners. All right. So my name is Toyin Olufon, and I'm the founder of the Techy Accountants. And that's why I was about to tell you the story behind the Techy Accountant. So back to what I was saying, the Techy Accountant. Okay, let me start from the story. What led to the Techy Accountant? I was privileged to finish university at a very young age. And within 1.5 years after I was done from university, I became ACCA chartered. I thought that would give me a competitive edge. And trust me, I finished with a very good grade. I was always a 4-pointer in university, continuously. I was always a 4-pointer, in university. So after my ACCA, I thought, okay, I was young. I had a professional certification. I should just go in, drop my CV and walk away. And the calls, I'll keep getting the calls, but the reality was far from that. It took a while for me to be able to secure a job. And that experience actually opened my eyes to a lot of things that actually I'm based in Nigeria, but I know that that's the same thing that is happening in most other African countries also. The rate of unemployment is actually high. So that means the position that exists are highly competitive, basically. So I was not even given the opportunity to even express myself or to see if I fit into the job or not. So that made me think that, oh, if with my good grades from university, which from one of the best universities in Nigeria anyway, my good grades with my professional certification, which is actually an international one, if I struggle to get a job, how much more other finance professionals also who, did not finish with a 2-1, they finished with a 2-2, or they finished with a third class, and they don't even have a professional certificate, or probably they even have. The point is that just, for me, I just took it upon myself that, okay, when I have the opportunity to do something about this, I'll definitely do something about this. And that's what gave back to the Techy accountant. When I first started with the consulting firm, which we still run by the side, definitely the consulting firm is actually the one funding the Techy accountants. Yes. So I knew that I needed to do something, and that's what brought about the Techy accountant, which is, and I'm so proud of the progress we've made in the last 2 years that we started. We've made enormous progress. There are hundreds of people that have gotten jobs through us. There are hundreds of people that have gotten career clarity through this platform. There's so many things that I can say about the Techy accountant, but I would not be doing that. I think we have some of our participants here also that they'll soon have the floor to also give their input. So that's it about the Techy accountant. And as I said, this is the 3rd time we are having this summit. The last one we had was sometime last year, and we had speakers from 3 continents, join us and to speak to us as finance professionals. And here we are having the 3rd season. I'm optimistic that we would all gain 1 or 2 things from today's event. The beautiful thing was that when we're telling you to sign up, we told you guys to ask your questions. And thank you guys for asking your questions, because we have a ton of questions that we're going to be, we'll try and answer today, as much as possible. We'll try and answer you today, but thank you for asking those questions, because we didn't want the event to be about us. We wanted the event to be about you. We wanted to speak to your challenges in your career journey, and not just think up of something we think that you would need. So stay tuned, guys, and please keep along and keep listening. All right. Without me wasting much of our time, I think I'm going to call the next person on the agenda, who is presently one of the Techy accountants. We are presently in the 6th season of the Techy Accountants Academy. So we'll be having someone speak to us now about our experience. And the first person is the captain of this season. Her name is Oluwatomi Dino Fowe. Tommy, please, for short. Tommy, I hope you're there. Tommy, are you here? Okay. I can't hear her, so I don't know if she's here or not. Tommy, are you here? I can't see your name here. Okay, if Tommy is not here, I can see that Precious John is here. So, Precious John.
Hello.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, you have the floor.
Yeah. All right. The journey so far it's been wonderful. I learned so many things, especially the virtual software packages and the Sage 50. and also about the lecture tutorials, the videos. It's assisted me, though I did not finish, or let me put it this way. I I kind of did the assessment partially because of so many things, but it really helped me. The videos helped me. So generally, it's been a very, very wonderful experience, and it's a community, it's a place to be. Uh, I learned from the mentoring sessions, uh, labor laws. Though I think I missed some. I think I missed two classes, but generally it's been helpful, and I'm happy. I'm part of this. I'm happy. I want to say thank you to Mr. Jimo and to the facilitator for the software package. I'm really grateful. I tried to follow. Just thank you all for giving us the opportunity to learn at a very minimal cost. Thank you very much.
Yes, Precious John, thank you too. Thank you very, very, very much for being part of the academy and for doing your own part also, which is to study. Because, yes, so thank you for doing that also. Okay, I don't know, is Tommy back? I'm not sure if Tommy has connected, please. Even though if Tommy is around, let me know. But while we wait for her, I think it's time for us to have catering session. Catering is about time we have your session. But before she comes on board, let me actually introduce catering to you so that you know the kind of person that is about to speak to you and why you should actually open your mind and listen to her. Before I read what is there, what I know about catering is that she started out as an accountant and now she's playing in the technology space and doing well at it also. As we all know, technology has, well, I say it has disrupted the way we do things in the finance industry, right? So whether we like it or not, that means as finance professionals, we need to upskill. We need to be better at, we need to learn new ways of doing the things that we used to do, basically. And catering is just a good example of that. So let me read a bio here before she takes over. Catering and yeah, is a business resilience. I hope I pronounced your surname properly.
It's Byam, but you know what? It's all good. Okay. It's all good because I don't even know where the origin of my name comes from, but I can talk about that as we go on.
Okay, that's fine. Ketrinhan Byam is a business resilient coach and strategic partners to leaders championing sustainable change for their business stakeholders. Catering is porous in career sketching, a service tailored to the individual, functional, or line manager seeking growth or opportunities to leverage their accumulated knowledge towards a new and greater purpose. She collaborates with small and medium-sized businesses and social organizations, like she collaborated with the Techy accountants to address solutions that consider society and environmental resiliency at their core, and while preserving economic growth and a fair return for innovation and ingenuity. She also coaches leaders to connect with a greater purpose and design fulfilling career experiences in an evolving digital and complex landscape. Catherine, you have the floor. Please
take
it away.
All right, so am I allowed to present?
Yes, you are. I'm going to enable that now. I'll stop sharing so that you can share.
And also, if you want to pin me to the screen as well, so I can.
Yes, I would do that. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just get this up on screen properly. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. All right, it's really, really lovely to be here today. I'm really honored that I had this invitation, and pleased to meet everyone who has joined the Techy Accountant, as well as all of you who are aspiring to become Techy Accountants in the future. So I got a very generous introduction. Thank you so much. But just to tell you a little bit about me, and I'm probably going to start with a small quote that I think is very important for you as you take on your journey now. And that is that success has secrets that only you know. There's not success that's defined by someone else. It's only the success you define in yourself. It's how you leverage your greatest natural talent and nurture that talent, and then scale it consistently to repeat your outcomes, even as the conditions and the rules around you change. So what I mean by that is that there are things that connect with you deeply, who you are, that make you strong, that make you the person that you are, that make you different, that make you that diverse being that the planet needs. And you need to figure out how to use that to the best of your ability. Don't become someone else, right? That's the best advice I've ever had. So a little bit about me and why I do this. So as said before, I'm a chartered accountant. I qualified in, I'm ashamed to tell you the year because I don't think I look that old, but in 1999, I qualified as an accountant. And I then went on to do a finance career for about 10 years. So I spent the first 2 years in investment banking in Trinidad and Tobago. Then I went on to work at a tobacco company for another long period of time. And I worked all over finance. So I moved from financial reporting to fixed asset management to marketing finance, operations finance, and then internal audit. And internal audit was another 5 years. And I traveled all over the world with that company at that time. And out of doing the internal audit role in particular, I started to see the wider perspective of the business. So as an accountant, you get to see the business. Yes, you get to see the business in its numbers. You get to see what those numbers add up to in a balance sheet, in a P&L. But when you work in internal audit, you get to see how those things actually work and contribute to those numbers. You get to look at risk. You get to look at things like environmental, social, and governance reporting, as that's becoming a big deal for the future. And looking at some of the questions I received already, I know that we're going to have to talk a little bit about ESG and where you as an accountant can fit into that world. You know, ESG is not just about the guys who are sitting there learning about sustainability. You can have a role in that too. So anyway, I'll come back to that because sustainability is a big topic for me. So I spent 20 years with this FTSE Top 10 tobacco company based in the UK and all over the world. I worked as well for 7 years in supply chain. So this is after I left internal audit. So that was another pivot for me. I then also pivoted and did an MBA in innovation and strategy. So I took a sabbatical from my job and went off to do this MBA in France. And then I studied sustainability at Cambridge as well. And I've been an expat for more or less 12 years now, learning how to navigate culture. And I think that's been one of the best ingredients I've had in my career as I think about how my career has evolved. I've been 2 years in my own business, and that own business does a lot of things. So I do consulting with a lot of medium-sized companies. My business partner is a data scientist, so I will be able to give you a few reflections about the impact of data science on your career as we go into the questions. And I also trained as a coach. So I trained as a neurolinguistic programming professional. So all of these things enhance the skills that I bring to any situation and how I can solve problems. And that's how I think about my career. How can I add things that help me solve problems? So on career transitions, I think we will do quite a few in our lifetime. And this is the thing that I work with people most on, is on career transitions. And I think we seldom think about what's the best way to do it, right? We get out of school and we think, okay, let's get a job. What job? Well, I don't know what job, whoever's hiring, right? So we seldom think about a strategy about how to go about actually getting the job that we really want, even though you know what you really want, right? Most of us know what we really want, but we feel and we live in fear sometimes, you know, that imposter syndrome. Oh, I'm not good enough to get that perhaps, or, you know, it's too hard, or, you know, they didn't shortlist me, or whatever it is. So my philosophy is you need to happen to your career and don't let it happen to you, and go after the things that you really want. And that's the way to spend less time wasted and really focused energy on the thing that's really important for you. So I hope I'm not speaking too quickly. If I am, tell me to slow down. All right, so I have this 9-step process. So if you want to take a picture of the screen, feel free to go ahead. All right, so the 9-step process is about mapping out where you are, then doing the succession planning. So if you're already in an existing job, you need to think about who's going to succeed you. If you're not in an existing job, well, don't worry about the step. The next one is about determining your next role. And this is if you're inside an organization already, or if you're just moving from one organization to the other. You really want to think very specifically about the next role you want to do in the scheme of things that you want to achieve for your life. And this is why mapping out where you are is important. And this is why we start there. And I'll talk a little bit, and I'll go into some detail about mapping out where you are. Then you want to have a job strategy, a strategy for getting the right job. And I'll tell you about the key ingredients to that. Of course, you need to have digital brand. Your digital brand today is more important than ever. And where you guys are based, there's so many people in your country, etc. There's so many communities that you can build a very strong digital brand very easily if you go out and meet people, if you go out and engage people. So we can talk a bit about your digital brand building. Then we talk about systems, and systems are twofold. Systems exist everywhere in our lives, everywhere in the world. You have personal systems that make you effective. Your organization has systems that either make them effective or ineffective. That's always debatable. And you need to learn about what systems work best for the situation that you're dealing with, whether it be your internal system or those of the company. Then we talk about onboarding, and onboarding is arguably the most important period of time you will spend in a new role, because it will determine the trajectory of you in that role going forward. So you want to really take a scientific approach to how you get onboarded into a new company. Then you want to review your systems, and these are your personal systems I'm speaking about particularly once you've been onboarded, because this is where you take the learning that you've had from your onboarding, you embed that into steps and processes and things that you do to make yourself effective in the context of that role that you have. And then at the end of that sort of onboarding window, you should be making a pitch, right? So, people have spoken about the first 90 days. There's a book written about this called The First 90 Days, which talks about different types of scenarios and situations you can get into when you go through an onboarding. I'm not talking about that per se, but I'm talking definitely about how you address these issues for yourself and approach those situations in the most methodical way that you can. So that's the 9-step process. I will tell you a little bit about each step now, and I hope I will not go too long. So please tell me if I'm running out of time, my dear. All right, so mapping out where you are. You need to know your mission and your goal. And when I talk about a mission, I'm really mission driven. I'm really purpose driven. And this mission is something that's bigger than you, bigger than your company, perhaps. It's something that appeals to your entire community. And you want to make sure that you have something that draws you and pulls you through all the sort of less agreeable things that you might face in your career, right? Something that you're going after that's bigger than this. So you need to think about what that might be. In my case, in my current business and job, I want to live in a technologically advanced world that is fair to the environment and to the people within it. Right. And that's difficult to come about. There's a lot of complexity in that statement. To have a technologically advanced world, it probably means more robots. It probably means, a lot of things that we do today as accountants will become obsolete. But we need to transform that into something that's meaningful for the people who live in this planet and who share this planet. So that's my mission. But you need to think about something that's going to motivate you to get up every day and do that job, right? And make the best effort that you can. Then you want to make an assessment of your key experiences to date. And this could be experiences in terms of your life experiences. So there are things that you have achieved or seen or experienced in your life that you may want to grow or develop further. You want to think about this in terms of your career experiences. You want to think about this in terms of academics and learning and knowledge. And what you want to do is determine where you want to go from that. So it's like taking a kind of inventory, is what I describe it as. Take an inventory of the things that you've always wanted and that you want to do further, and then determine where you want to go from that. Now, I know there are many directions that we can choose, absolutely. But what I would recommend that you do is pick one for a period of time. Give yourself a certain amount of time to try that out, but pursue it with passion. Don't pursue it half-heartedly, right? Go into it, figure it all out, and you can always pivot again, right? I have done at least 6 pivots in my career. You know, I gave you the recount of my career in over the past 20 something years. I've done several pivots. So the idea here is to do passionately anything that you decide to do. But you know what you want by making that bit of internal assessment first. Then you need to know the key outcomes you want to achieve, right? And I think this is arguably the most important part of this. Know what it is you want to accomplish from the career that you have. And then when you get into that career, you're working toward accomplishing that. So this could include, you know, being thought of as valuable by your employer. It could include things like solving a massive problem in your community. It could include things like solving a massive problem for your family, right? Whatever is your dimension, choose it. Okay, so then there are sort of 3 modalities that I like to talk about, and I think this will answer a lot of the questions I've received as well. And this is, you can be a specialist. You can have a portfolio of skills. So you could be someone with many, many skills. I'm a little bit of portfolio of skills, and you can be someone who's about a lot of experiences. I'm also about a lot of experiences. So I capture those last 2 modalities. I'm definitely not a specialist. If you ask me about you know, the latest rules in accounting today, I don't remember them. I don't know them, and I don't necessarily keep myself fully up to date in them. But I do understand the value of accounting, and I do understand the impact that technology is having on it. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about these. So the specialist has a deep domain specialization. They really know what they're talking about. They are considered sort of cutting edge, the people who are designing the future of that particular specialism, right? So they are creative in that particular space. They're probably authoring books or some original work. Perhaps you've done it in your dissertation at university or something like this, but you are furthering the field. You are taking the field to the next level. You will be marrying technology with that field, for example. So that specialist is someone who is really cutting edge and designing new things. You will be collaborating with other specialists to create that design. So you're definitely someone with a collaborative mindset who wants to solve problems for that specific area of work, that specific discipline. Typically, someone with this kind of drive to solve problem in one specific area, they tend to become either freelancers who are really the best known in that thing, and people hire them just to do that thing, or you become part of a center of expertise. So this could be a center of expertise in PwC, in Ernst & Young, in any of those big types of accounting firms. Or it could be a center of expertise in a big corporation, right? So big corporations have centers of expertise to help them do technological deployments, because that's something that they're going to have to be doing year on year. So this is the type of space someone who has that mindset of a specialist will get into. If you're someone who's into a portfolio of skills, so this means that you have some depth in a domain, but you are not necessarily considered the absolute specialist, but you're very skilled at problem solving. And the way that you get skilled at problem solving is by exposing yourself to many other domains. So it's a bit like what I did in my career. At the beginning of my career, I exposed myself to every possible domain in accounting. I didn't go only down one particular route. So I didn't become an expert at investment banking, for example. I just went all through all the different layers of accounting. And because of that skill, I've been able to solve a lot of problems in collaborating and working with other departments as well, because I understand their issues. Now, it doesn't mean that the specialist doesn't understand their issues. The specialist does, but the specialist really focuses on solving the problem for that specialism. Whereas the person who has this portfolio of skills, they like being sort of the firefighter, the person who makes things happen, right? You will never take the field or the discipline to another plane, but you will probably really help the company get their fat out of the fire, so to speak. Right? So if you're someone who's interested in many different things, you're going to want to develop your skills probably at managing and coordinating change, because it's not just your skill at problem solving that will really make the difference. It's how you collaborate and bring others together on that journey with you. Then you want to be capable of asking the relevant questions based on the interdisciplinary knowledge that you have. So you are useful. If you're someone with a portfolio of skills, you're very useful on a change journey because you know the types of things that can go wrong, right? You're very valuable to the specialist because you can inject some of that real experience, whereas the specialist will take it further. They will ask the deeper questions. Okay, so typically, if you're somebody who has that portfolio of skills, you become a manager of people, of business units. You don't thrive in specialist roles. In fact, you're bored. And you work best if you could maintain a similar industry throughout your career. And I had some challenge on this. So when I did this talk on LinkedIn, someone challenged me in this, saying, why should I stay in the same industry? And what I would recommend, if you're moving around and you're experiencing lots of different areas of a field or of the business, you're probably best suited to the problems that occur in that business. Yeah, so as experience goes, you become better at being able to make decisions in the context of that industry, because you don't have the extent of the depth of a specialist. You probably want to stay in that industry to make yourself more relevant. It doesn't mean you can't change industry. Of course you can. But what I think will happen is that you will damage your ability to earn more money if you change industry. Yeah, and this is part of the progression conversation you need to be having with yourself, right? So if you're really driven by knowing a lot and moving around, try to stay in the same industry, because you become more valuable to that industry. You've dealt with all the problems that industry can have. Yeah. So we can debate this further when we do the Q&A. All right. Then when it comes to experiences, with experiences, it's not more to any specific industry, skill, or function. So this is someone who literally can radically shift on the drop of a pin, right? So maybe every 2 years you radically shift your perspective and what you do. And I know people who do this, right? They spend 2 years in a job and then they go traveling, for example, and they go volunteering for a year, or they do this kind of thing. And people who are experience driven, they're typically very, very good at adapting, and their biggest skill is learning. So they're sharp and quick and able to learn fast. They have deep empathy, which helps their learning. They're very curious. They have a bigger vision. They have this vision of this harmony and, you know, everybody living together as one kind of thing. And they're more perceptive to new world ideas. So they're kind of game changers in a way. They're people who will come to a particular situation or scenario and ask the most out of the box question ever, right? I kind of think that Steve Jobs was someone like this. You know, he wasn't particularly great at technology. I don't know if you know, but you know, if he didn't have Steve Wozniak, Apple wouldn't be what it is today. But at the same time, if they didn't have Steve Jobs, it wouldn't be what it is today, because he was able to bring radical experiences from things like, I think he was into calligraphy and yoga and all sorts of different things in his early life that influenced what Apple became. So I think of him as an experienced person. And you can even see it in the phones, right? When you have an Apple device, it's an experience. So I typically think that people who are driven like this, they choose entrepreneurial paths, they become the CEOs, and they don't work well with rigidity, right? So they tend to be the ones who are looking at innovation all the time. So the other thing I would say, so I don't know how many mature job seekers you have in your community, my dear, but if you're a mature job seeker, I think the job market can be quite scary at the moment. So if you're, for some reason, you're looking for a job and you're in your 40s or 50s, that could be quite intimidating because you feel that pressure that, maybe people are looking for younger people all the time. And this is something that comes across in the marketing that companies do, right? They suggest that, they only want about 5 years experience or something like this. They'll never tell you they want 15 years. And there's some bias around that as well, because they think that people who are older are set in their ways. So I would suggest 2 courses of action for you. If you are looking for a job and you're mature, I would suggest that you start looking for opportunities before you leave your job, is one thing, in terms of setting up consulting or freelancing. But when you're looking for this type of consulting type role, you want to look for startups that are inexperienced. So let's say early stage startups who are on their first round of seed funding, for example. You probably want to work with that type of company because they will be able to leverage that knowledge that you have, right? They would appreciate that knowledge that you have to bring their systems and ways of working together. But of course, you're going to need to be flexible because in those environments, things move fast. They're not always very structured because they're now putting in place structure. So you're going to have to be patient with getting that structure in place. So I think your experience would be very good for that. You can also look for strategic alliances. So partnering up with other consultancies that exist already could be a way that you allow yourself to further your career. For new graduates, I would also suggest the startup route, but for a different reason. So I would suggest that you look for graduate training programs, first of all. If you can get into any graduate training program, wherever it is in the world, do it, because you want to get as broad an experience across the business as you possibly can before you make a firm decision about what you want to do with your life. So if you can get into graduate training programs, great. If you can't get into a graduate training program, again, think about the startups. And I have a bias here, but think about green tech startups because sustainability is where it's at today. And there are lots of companies innovating brand new solutions never before seen in the world that you want to be a part of, right? You want to be a part of something that's creating change and something new, okay? So these are great options for you. I think I might be out of time.
Actually, you still, I think, you have about 5 minutes more.
Okay, so
Yes.
what I could do is I can run through the rest just to give you a sample of it, and then we can talk about the things in more detail in the Q&A.
Yes.
Yeah, if that's okay. So I'll go much quicker now. All right, so step 2 is about succession planning. And I don't know how many of you are actually in a situation where you're in an existing job and you want to now start moving, but you want to identify more than one successor to your role. And this is probably something for you. You don't even have to discuss this with your boss, but this is just having something in your mind about preparing for your transition. So I'm thinking that if you're thinking about moving jobs, think a year in advance and start putting things in place. And that's what I mean by getting into these steps, right? Identify more than one person because there's a subtle art of war to this. You don't want to necessarily give one person all the knowledge and training, because if you don't get the opportunity that you're looking for, and then that person tries to basically take advantage of them having learned your job, you really don't want to expose yourself. So think about 2, and it works for 2 reasons. It works for the competitive side of it, but it also works for distributing your workload so that you can have the time you need to plan what you're doing next. So I would say find 2 or 3 people in your department who you can start showing a few things to, decide the kind of paths you want to take each one of them on. And then when you come to the conversation with your line manager about you want to move on, you can then say, well, this person knows, and this person knows this, and this other person knows that. So it becomes easy for your line manager to realize that, your things can be absorbed while they're looking for a replacement for you. So that's one of the ways to manage it. I'll move on quickly because I know I'm already very slow because I get passionate about this stuff. You want to build an internal plan for your next job. So you want to choose the internal roles that you want, and you want to assess them with new information. So you want to look at the roles, then look at them independently of the incumbent, just kind of reflect on what that role needs and how that role can add more value in the business, then you want to start talking to the incumbent, right? What's your knowledge of the kinds of things the kinds of direction that you want to take that role in. And then when you start talking to the incumbent, then you know what kinds of questions to ask. You're not necessarily giving him your strategy, but you're thinking about the kinds of things you want to understand to validate where you could take the role. And then, I want to give you this idea of the rule of three, right? All consultants use this rule of three when they're talking about any ideas, and I suggest you use it throughout your life as well. Choose 3 roles, not more than that, because then you're just spreading yourself too thin, and just focus on getting the best learning and knowledge beforehand before you decide to take up any of those 3 roles. If you're going external, you want to assess the criteria of the type of company you want to work for before you get into it. Because if you're driven by purpose, you're driven by values, you really want to make sure you're not getting into a situation where the company is not living by the kind of values you want to live by. And then you want to choose those external companies with this criteria, with this filter. And then you want to get more data before you start actually applying. On headhunters. So the thing you need to know about headhunters, first of all, is that they tend to be contracted by companies, and they usually have non-compete clauses. So if you want to stay in a particular industry, you're probably going to have to get a few headhunters, because they can't compete with the same player in that industry, if you understand what I mean. So if they're working for Shell, they're probably not working for BP as well. That's what I mean. It's kind of the way it works. They tend to go by referrals, and then they tend to check their LinkedIn connections as well. They tend to work through their offline networks. So you really have to build relationships to be able to get anything with headhunting in this way of working in the world today. Typically, people within their network, if they reject a job offered by a headhunter, they will refer people within their own network. So this is why networking is fundamental and important. So how to build your networks? You really need to map out based on what we talked about in step 3, which is knowing the criteria and company you want to work for. You want to see who in your second level connections. I'm thinking about LinkedIn here, if you guys are on LinkedIn. You want to think about who's in your second level connections, and then target those people based on the specific companies you've chosen. And that's why I suggest that you be specific, because you can't use this type of strategy if you're going to spread yourself all over the place, right? So you need to have very specific and clear strategy. Step 5 is about digital branding. So your brand is it's a sum of behaviors that you do, values, beliefs, the mission that you have. And this can be illustrated by the kind of environment you create. So it's the environment you create on your social media posts. It's the kinds of people who are associated with you. It's what those people have to say about you. So I think if you're going out and getting referrals or recommendations from people, it's a great source of knowing what your brand looks like today, because you understand what people know and appreciate you for. And it's good to have that external reflection. Your personal systems. So again, I'm going to try to do this quick. This is what makes you effective. These are the characteristics of that sort of inbuilt playbook that you have. You probably take it for granted, but you have a method and a process that you typically ask questions or design frameworks or whatever it is. Think about the things that you ask yourself or the things that you ask your team, for example, when you're designing your playbook. And I think that this is a really important step, because only by identifying it and documenting it can you improve it. Okay. The other thing is about the systems inside of the company, and that can form 3 different sorts of, let's say, thought points. Data, so what systems manage data, how they manage their processes, and how do you improve those processes, and how do they integrate between other departments. So these are all things that you want to think about when you're transitioning. It's not finally, actually. There's onboarding, and onboarding is about stakeholder management, managing the key projects and understanding what the key projects are, and then understanding what the key metrics are for that company, right? So, you know, I'm giving you risk, revenue, and costs. Other things could be important to the company. So you need to find out what's really important to them. And then you review your playbook. I will skip again. And then finally, you know, when you start a new job, people will expect, depending on the level that you start at, you're going to want to pitch something. The extent to what you're pitching will depend on the level that you start at. But even as an entry-level person, having gone through an induction, having gone through that phase, you want to be able to pitch an idea, right? You want to be able to sell something to that line manager, etc., so that they understand the kind of person they've hired, that you're innovative, you're creative, you want to make change, you want to make waves. So that's the 9-step process. So I don't know, how do you want to do this? Do you want to ask questions now, or we come back?
Yes, we would come back to that.
Okay.
But
all right.
You've said so many things.
I know.
You've said so many things, and they're quite impactful. I was just looking at your slides one after the other, and I'm like, wow, this is actually supposed to be a full class, literally. Like,
yes,
come for the class. It's not supposed to be something for about 30 minutes or thereabouts. And thank you so much for taking your time to do this and giving a detailed presentation also, because I can see you spend a lot of time, you know, putting that up.
I mean, this is one of the, this is what I do for a living as well. So.
Absolutely. It's brilliant. Thank you very much. So I think, guys, if you have your questions, you can type out your questions. But as I said, we have tons of questions already that you sent in. And in a minute, we're going to start answering those questions. As I said, today is actually about you guys. We wanted to speak to your problems. We wanted to speak to the areas, the gray areas, you know, you're facing in your career. And that's what today's summit is all about. It's all about you guys. So please, please stay in and listen attentively. If you're not clear on anything, please type the message. Use the chat box. We are reading it. I'm looking at it constantly, and I'm on the lookout. So, guys, so I think that, I don't know if Tommy is around now. Tommy, are you around? I don't know if she's using a name or a different name, because sometimes we name our devices. Okay. All right. Let's just go to the question and answer. I'll be sharing the slides. We've actually, we've merged some of the questions together because some of the questions are actually a repetition. So we merged it and we actually put them in a slide. So I'll be sharing my slides shortly. Where are you? All right. Here we are. So also, let me add something. I know that a lot of you may be difficult relating to what you said because of the difference in the location. Definitely, she's speaking from our experience in the UK, but there's something about learning and having the ability to adapt a knowledge you've gained, you know, to your local environment. So everything she said still works or could still work here in Nigeria or in Cameroon or in Kenya, wherever you are. Typically, the principles are the same, right? The principles are the same. It's usually the application that differs, because when you're applying, you need to put into consideration the environmental factors. So don't, in case you're confused, and if you need more clarity, you can reach out after the summit and say, oh, she said this. I'm not certain of how I can apply it to my environment. We'll be willing to explain further and give clarity that you seek. All right, so let's start. As I said, this is the first question. How do I level up my career as an entry-level person with no experience? She definitely made mention of something. She spoke a lot about young graduates,
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any other thing to add to what you've said.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to start from where we start from. Don't think that you need to jump ahead. You need to go through every experience, right? The first job I did, I had those blue printout papers. I'm sure you don't even know what those things look like. I had these blue printouts and I had to reconcile things by pencil. That was the first job that I did, right? So you start where you start. But the idea is know where you're going, right? If you don't know where you're going, then you can just end up stuck.
Absolutely. And let me add to it, putting, at least I'm here, I know what's obtainable here. You start where you start. There's like, that is accurate. That's accurate. And I'm surprised to hear you say that you started by reconciling on a sheet of paper. Like, what? Not even with Excel?
No, not even Excel. It was
No,
1999, you know?
yeah. So the point is that whatever opportunity comes your way, as far as it gives you a learning experience, please start. Please start with no experience. Just as I said, there's no experience. Even if the job is not coming for, right? Because most organizations in this part of the world, they actually want someone that is experienced. Nobody really wants to babysit any person again, right? So another way for you to break in is to volunteer. Walk up to an organization you like to work with and tell them you like to volunteer. In fact, for free. Trust me, you'll most likely be considered. And that is actually a step, like that takes you into the organization. And from there, you can prove your worth. You can prove that you're a fast learner. You can prove that, okay, in fact, you can prove yourself in a way that you become indispensable and they have no choice other than to make you a full-time staff. So that's how it works. All right. How does one decide on a specific career path when you have 3 career paths you would love to undertake? Oh, this sounds like the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, I think what you need to do is decide which sequence would work best. So if you need to try something and you're not sure which would add value to the next. So I don't know the context. I don't know specifically what 3 parts you're trying to choose, but it's really about understanding how each job and experience that you have contributes to the next one that you will have.
Yeah, yeah. There has to be there has to be a synergy within the 3 parts so that they work together, they work in tandem, and they're not. Anyway, I don't know who asked this question because I would have asked you. I hope it's not that you love, fashion or tailoring, then you also love accounting, and probably you also love what else again? Those career paths that are not on the same trajectory. At that point, it will be difficult for you to merge both of them together. Okay, let's move to the next question. I'm coming, please. Okay. What are the core professional trainings that should be taken in accounting field to have an edge in this
So
digital era?
yeah, I think for accountants, I know that there's a lot that we do in Excel as accountants. I was there, but now that I live and work with a data scientist,
Yeah,
I have new reflections about that. And one of the things is the tools such as Tableau and
yeah,
Power BI, for example, that are so powerful and they can make your life amazingly dreamy as an accountant. So if you want to have an edge, I would say understand the basics of data science, like the fundamentals of data science, but get into those applications. And they're relatively easy to learn. Like if you download the application Power BI for free, or even the Tableau, how to call it, I think it's the public version, you can start to
yeah,
learn it. There's lots of tutorials, etc. You can start to learn it. And the power that you have when you're able to illustrate data or visualize data in the way that you can with this kind of powerful software beyond Excel is something transformative.
yeah. Okay. So before we continue with those questions, we have some questions from the participants right now, and I think it's fair to just answer those questions in case we don't have enough time to cover all the questions. Okay. Um, Lizzie is saying, I've been working for the past 10 years now, but I need to change job because I have little children. I do not want to work Mondays to Saturday. I'm a chartered accountant, but I'm thinking of going for my master's of doing business. What do you advise, please?
Um,
Catherine?
so okay. I mean, okay. I have several views of this stuff. I've spent the last 2 years in this online space, and
Yeah.
most of the people online building businesses, they're not getting other qualifications per se, right? They're learning how to do marketing, and
Yeah.
then they're going online and they're trading their services, for example. So, you mentioned that you're a young mom, and there are so many mompreneurs in the
Yeah.
digital space that are like providing services, even accounting services, by the way. So bookkeeping,
Mm,
preparing financial statements for a small business. It's a lot
mm,
less. There's a lot less, how to say, difficulty in that type of accounting because they're not doing derivatives, they're not doing, they're not doing complex things in small businesses. They just want to have a produced financial statement at the end of the month or at the end of the
yeah.
year. And what they typically do is like women I know that provide this kind of service, they use QuickBooks, for example, to build the base of their accounting service. And whoever they're working with then uploads the stuff automatically into QuickBooks. There's a way to do that now. And then they just prepare the financial statements. They make sure that the accounting software addressed all the lines of the entries correctly. And then they prepare financial statements. And if you get, I don't know how much you need to live, but once you work out what you need to live, and you need to get however many customers paying you a monthly retainer, then that's an easy way to do it.
Okay. Lizzie, I hope it answers your question.
I know she
I think
wanted.
you get.
I know she wanted to know about getting a degree and stuff, but it all depends. It's like
Yeah.
I think I think that degrees are great. I have a few
Yeah.
of them, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not the thing that will change the world, right? So,
Absolutely.
if you want to work to your life values and you want more balance for your life, then probably you want to think more creatively about the solution. I'm not saying big corporate is bad or anything. I think big corporate is good. It's like you get lots of benefits. You have you're more taken care of when you work for a big corporation, but it's also
Yeah.
quite competitive. It's also quite performance driven,
Yeah.
and you need to find a balance between the two.
Absolutely. Okay. Um, Lizzie, as I said, I hope that answers your question. Joy Como is saying, I worked as a cashier. Surprisingly, it was an analog mode of records and bookkeeping. I just finished service 2 months ago, so I took in the job and was recording cash flow and petty cash flow with Biro and book. I resigned though because I felt it wasn't a job for me, even as an accounting graduate.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the question is. Okay, I think she continued again. She now said, thank you, Ma, for sharing. What advice will you give to a person who was not considered for employment, even though the feedbacks from the HR came in positive? They always say we are impressed, but we have decided to pursue with another candidate. Even for a job that I finished the interview to the end and they were impressed, only for me to hear from my network that they chose someone because of his number of years. I don't understand why recruiters come on LinkedIn preaching what most of them do not practice. If you already have a referral, why subject other people to pain of this job process? I may be wrong though, but this recent experience just made me realize some jobs are advertised while already taken. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, oh God, when I look at LinkedIn for recruitment, sometimes I just want to vomit because it's really hard work, right? I know that. I completely empathize, and I know that it's not easy to get shortlisted. Once you get shortlisted, you're in with a really good opportunity, and then to hear that they've decided to progress with somebody else without any concrete things that you could work on for the next one. I mean, I would do two things. I would ask, I would press, I would really go back and say, can you give me anything specific? Because I would really love to improve my performance. I would really love, whatever it is you need to tell them to massage their ego, I value your opinion, whatever it is, but try to get them to tell you something specific, because if you're not getting that, it's difficult to move forward. The other thing is that, again, there's other ways to use social media to your advantage when you're job hunting, right? So I know that there are some companies, I don't know if this exists in Nigeria, but I know that there are some companies that have like referral fees that they pay to employees when you refer a good employee. So find out which companies have that, and start collaborating with your friends, help them solve problems, right? I have found also that people are starting to use social media as a way to assess skills in some fields, right? Especially when it's tech skills. So like if you can display the work that you've done, in a nice way online, if it's Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever it is, that's also an interesting way for people to see your work and then think, oh shoot, I can really hire that person. So I think one of the things to do is to start thinking about new skills that you could add, and how you can start talking about those new skills that you're adding, how you can start showcasing the work that you're learning, the stuff that you're learning, and how you're applying it.
Okay. Okay, where's the chat box? I think we've answered all the questions. So let me add to what Katrina said about coming online. First of all, I will tell you not to take it to heart. I know it can be very daunting trying to get a job and you going through the interview process. I've been there before. And especially when you have the grades, when you have the certification and all, and you think that it should be easier, but sometimes it doesn't just work like that. First of all, I'll tell you not to be discouraged, but you should actually keep trying. You should keep trying. And just as she said, she talked about strategic networking also. You may want to strategically network with all these headhunters. And also, actually, I was going to say this also, Techy Accountant also, we actually provide opportunities to finance professionals. If you're part of the Techy Accountant community, if you've gone through our courses, we have positions to fill from time to time. And we normally first consider Techy accountants before we consider people that are not within our community. So that's one way also. Join communities, network for you to increase your chances of getting that job that you so desire. Please, can this recorded version be sent? Yes, it will be sent. Can you please type in the names of app? Okay, I think I've done that. How do one overcome the fear of inadequacy in starting a business? I've been working for over 9 years and there is no skill development. I'm currently writing professional exams in accounting and I joined Techy Accountant. Please advise.
Yeah, so I think, look, starting a business needs belly, it needs a lot of guts, and it needs some marketing skills. So there's definitely some more learning to do. If you want to go that route, I would suggest getting some sort of, like, if you're in a current job, stay with your job and start your business as a side gig. So that gives you the experience first. You start to understand what works. You start learning the marketing that you need to learn to get your business out in the world. So definitely try to start as a side gig. The side gig gives you comfort too. So if you're thinking about the fear that you have, and look, I normally tell people it's not confidence that gets you the great opportunities. It's courage. Right. So it's being able to fight through the fear. Like me talking at this forum, for example, like 2 years ago, I wouldn't have spoken. Like I would think, oh my God, I can't do this. But it's fighting through. It's every time that I fight through things that I'm not comfortable with, that I become more comfortable with them. And it's the same thing with this. Yeah. It's like, start as a side gig, get to learn what you need to do. but you still have your job, you still have your income. If you're in a situation where you're out of work, I would say get a job, but try to get one that probably isn't as taxing if you know you want to build a business, right? So it could be taking a job one level down if your end game is to build a business, but it all depends on where you want to go. And that's why in this whole presentation, I said, map out where you are, start at the beginning, figure out where you want to go before you make any other step.
Yeah, absolutely. So another question I would ask you, Bilola, is you said you want to start a business. What kind of business? Because the business will determine the kind of skills that you should have. So I think that's the first question you need to ask yourself. Mm-hmm. What kind of business do I want to start? Then you can now think about the skills that you need to have for you to, to be good at it. And trust me, it's never too late for you to start. She said something about marketing skill. For me, I think that's something I'm building this year personally. Since when I started my business, the business has thrived on referrals, getting opportunity. Just as I said, when it comes to, I got the opportunity. Yeah, I have the confidence to some extent, so I go there, I do my thing. But it's beyond that. Marketing has to come in also. So that's something also I'm working on. And I'm sharing this with you so that you don't think that everyone that starts, actually has all the skill that's needed to have a thriving business. Actually, we pick up the skills on the way. And the secret to succeeding at it is actually for you to get started. The moment you get started, trust me, you'll walk towards it. All right. Thank you. What other question is here? The recording will be sent. Tanjiwe Sandile. Tanjiwe sounds like it's from Kenya. All right. The next one, what advice will you give someone who doesn't have an accounting or finance degree, but has professional qualification like I can? Plus the person is around his or mid-30s with some years of experience.
Okay. So look, I mean, if you want to stay in the accounting field, then definitely you need the certification. I think it's so competitive that you need to have the basic foundation. But it all depends on where you want to go, what trajectory you want to have. I have seen people go into something tangential to accounting, like auditing, from other fields, for example. And also, to be honest, I've seen in organizations where they value your business experience and still add you to the accounting team, but probably to be more on the side of management accounting. So where you're actually working with the rest of the business to look at their budgets and their cost profiles and stuff like this. So yeah, there's loads of opportunity still.
Okay. So let's go back to our questions. I think we're done answering questions in the chat. So let's go back. Yeah, we are. Okay, as an entry-level staff who would love to be among the top-level management team of an organization in the future, what should be the main focus of such a staff?
I would say, how long is a piece of string? You again, like I always say, you need to know where you're going. All right. I know that it's you're going to say that I'm repeating myself, but fundamentally, you need to know where you're going. It's not just to be on the management team of the organization. That can't be the goal. It's like specifically what, do you want to be the GM? Do you want to be the finance director? Do you want to be the operations director? You need to ask yourself these questions, because that will determine what you do, right? It's just like what was just said. You need to map your skills to what it is you want to accomplish. And, it's like, I want to be the prime minister of Nigeria or something like this. It's like, there's a big stepping stone before that, probably what ministry do you want to run, So you need to keep asking yourself the steps of the journey, and you can work backward, right? So, if in 5 years you want to be on the management team, start working backwards. What role should come before that? What role should come before that? What experience, what other classes should I do? But you need to start rolling back from where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably what the person, okay, I can't see the mind of the person, but Okay. I wanted to say something, but I'll just pass. Because I'm not sure where this question is coming from, you know. Yeah. So
I
because
mean,
sometimes
I think I know because I was there, right? I remember when I first joined and I had my first job at a multinational. I was like,
okay,
okay, how do I get ahead in this organization? What do I need to do, right? And
yeah,
one of the ways to do it is to ask the question, at your
yes,
interview or to your line managers, like, how do I grow? Like, what's the real path to growth here?
yeah.
Just ask.
Okay, so I'll ask you, is it okay to say I want to grow within the ranks?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if I were a line manager, I would ask you the specific question, right?
Okay.
Because it's like it's one thing to have aspiration and ambition,
Yes,
but that ambition on its own
yes.
it isn't helpful to the organization, so to speak. It becomes helpful to
True.
the organization when you really translate that into specifics, right? So
Yes.
if you just go up to your boss and say you want to be, you want to be on the management team of this company, what incentive does that boss have to help you? Right. So you need to think about that as well, right? So if you think that you have a particular skill or set of skills, or you're determined and you're knowledgeable, etc., enough, say that you want to solve this kind of problem in the company. Say what it is that you want to do once you get there, and make it interesting for the person that you're collaborating with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for this, it's actually for you to achieve this also, it's actually industry specific also. So
Mm.
in the banking, in the financial sector in Nigeria, I know that one way people grow to the management level is actually to move from bank to bank. But while they are moving also, they have tangible results, not the usual results that maybe most of the staff are having. Their results are usually outstanding. It's usually clearly different from what others are having also. So I know that it differs from sector to sector also. But something she said earlier, which is take it one step at a time. And I believe that in whichever position you find yourself, make sure you give it the best. Make sure you give it the best. Be the best at what you do at every point in time. And sometimes we map out all those career paths. We say that this is what I want to do. Then after this, I get to do this. I get to do this. But just being exceptional at what you do, sometimes it doesn't go that route. Sometimes it's even faster than you had planned. By just being yourself, by standing out. So, yep. So the next question: what really is the accounting professional bodies doing to address the issues of modern technology in regards to its impact on the profession? Wow. I don't work with ICANN, neither am I a council member of ACCA. The last time I checked also, catering is not one. So I'm not sure we can answer this question.
Yeah, I would probably answer the question by saying to you one thing, right? It's like I don't know what
Yeah,
they're doing, but
yeah,
fundamentally technology is here to stay. It's
yes,
not Nobody's going to stop progress because they want to protect our jobs. We
yes,
need to get a lot more creative about how we answer this question for ourselves as well.
absolutely. And not wait for the professional bodies to do that.
Yeah.
Like what's happening in schools also, which is they're slow to change their curriculum. They're slow to adapt their curriculum to what is happening in the real world. So that's why you see a graduate that is not value adding, like the moment they leave school is as good as, So what did you learn? Because when it comes to the practical world, you're unable to apply the knowledge they got from school because it's not the same. It's not what is required right now in the business world. So yes, start asking yourself this particular question, what can I do to get ahead? Okay, how does one transition from being an accountant in an HR company and a fixed asset and inventory accountant in a construction company to a finance and investment analyst in investment banking or financial sector? financial services?
Yeah.
I think it's a good question for you.
It's a good question. and I moved the other way, right? So I moved from investment banking into more sort of FMCG type roles. And I think that this is an insanely competitive field, first of all. You probably want to start with a smaller investment company with the experience that you have, but you definitely want to get qualifications here. You definitely want to finish at the top of your class in this kind of field, because it's really that competitive. You can also do work with sort of, let's say, the organizations that are trying to redesign finance, right? So, I'm thinking about sort of NGOs that are supporting new forms of finance for smaller businesses, for social enterprises, for government bodies, etc. You might want to think about getting into that space as well, because it's another option. But I think in general, finance and investment banking is very competitive, so you want to finish top of your class.
Yeah, true. Okay. Why are accountants' jobs rate low on salary scale in Nigeria, and how can that perception be corrected? Okay, I'm definitely answering this. So it's a lot of factors, you know. It's a lot of factors that has contributed to this. First of all, the fact that most SMEs do not understand the importance of having an accountant or the value that we add to their businesses. So it takes a lot of convincing for you to get them on board, and for you to get them to pay for the value you're bringing on board. But beyond that, I even think that you shouldn't concern yourself with this, because it's not something within your control. I know you're curious, and I'll just feed your curiosity a little, but the truth that is out of your control. There's really nothing you can do about this. The only person or body that I know that can do something about this is actually the professional body, if they get to regulate the fees and they pay attention to it. If that is not done, then this will continue to happen. So what happened is that the competition is very steep. We don't have so many big conglomerates, needing our services. The ones that are big, the big four has gotten them. So it's the remaining businesses are being shared among other professionals. And in a bid to, that's where marketing comes into place also. I realized that most accounting entrepreneurs are not skillful with marketing. So the only marketing tactics that they understand is low price. If someone is saying, I can do it for 500,000, then this person will be like, oh, 500,000, don't worry, I'm going to do it for 400,000. And that's how it keeps getting low. So the point is that if the employer is not earning enough, it should be difficult for the employer to pay the accountants, the employees, high enough. And that's the major problem. And the other one also is the rate of unemployment, which is quite high. A lot of people are out of jobs. So that means if you don't take it, someone else will take it. And as far as that option exists, then the salary scale will be low. Basically, it's just the forces of demand and supply that it's always regulating prices. So it's the same scenario that is playing out here. But as I said, the body that has the power to do something about this is actually the accounting professional body that we have in Nigeria, and also our government boosting our economy. If that happens, if we have more thriving businesses, more global businesses in Nigeria, why not? There'll be more jobs, and they'll be able to pay higher fee also. But at the same time, please don't keep your head low. All right. What's the hope of accountants in a digitalized economy?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we have hope, but it's kind of like the question before about what the accounting bodies are doing. we have to recognize that to be an accountant today is to be somebody who understands technology. In fact, this relates to every job, right? If you're a doctor, you need to become savvy with technology. If you're an engineer, you need to be savvy with technology. You know, if you're into even human skills, HR, you still need to be savvy with technology. So for all of us, we need to get our heads around whatever blocks or mental blocks or barriers or limiting beliefs that we have around getting into tech. I think you can overcome it, right? I never thought I would be building my own website and setting up all these other different things that I've had to do as a small business owner. It's helpful to have my partner who's an absolute techie, but yeah, you just need to get your head around this. So the faster you embrace it, the better for you.
The better, actually. I agree. Okay, so let's take a pause here. We still have a lot of questions. I'm sure we cannot attend to all the questions, but let's take a break here. And I'm giving the floor to Kemi. Yes. So we'll be back in the next 5 or 10 minutes to continue with the question and answer session.
Good afternoon. Sorry, I'm just joining. Good afternoon to Catherine. It's so good to see you, and thank you for sharing so much. Personally, I've picked up 1 or 2 things from the session so far, and thank you to Mrs. Tony for standing in for me because I was stuck in traffic earlier. There's some things we should have done earlier in the ceremony that we skipped, and we'll get back to that shortly. So as to not take much time, I would want to call some of our participants in the current season. So we have at the Techy Accountant, we run a series of courses. And at the moment, we're running the Techy Accountant, or we just completed the Techy Accountant season 6. And that is why we are holding the closing ceremony. We'll be bringing in one of our participants from the ceremony, and we would like them to share their experience. So most times when you hear from them, you believe them more. If we tell you about the academy, it's like we're selling our stock. But if you hear from people who have been beneficiary of the academy, you would most likely believe what they are saying. First off, I would love to, someone has spoken earlier, but now we'll be speaking with a lady this time, and in person of Efe Bakari. Hi, Efe Bakari. If you're here, please turn on your video so that we can see you. Hi, Efe, if you can hear me, please turn on your video and unmute yourself. Okay, I think I can see you.
Can you see me?
Okay, I can see you. It's a bit dark, but we'll manage.
Oh.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Good evening. My name is Efe Bakari. Okay, can I go ahead?
You can go ahead and introduce yourself briefly.
Okay, my name is Efe Bakari. I would like to share my experience at the academy. Well, for me, it was educating, insightful.
Okay.
And I said that because I joined the academy at a time that I needed a practical experience, in my career. Because I just finished ICANN, and though I've worked for years, but I had some challenges, which is normal, in an organization where you are being looked at as someone that grab things easily. That if you are given the opportunity, you could shine, the person in the position, and you are being kept away from so many things. So at that point, I had to, go to IG, that's Instagram, to start searching, because I told myself nobody will stop my growth. I know what I want, and I'll go for it. And I started searching, and I stumbled on a Techy Accountant. Okay, can you see me now? I think it's clear.
Yes, we can see you. We can see you. Just go ahead.
Okay, and I stumbled on a Techy Accountant. And I said, I can give this a trial. Let me see. because this is what I actually did, because I went through the intro, what you learn at the academy, and I went through their profile, saw other persons, their testimonial, what they gained at the academy. I said, yes, I can give this a shot. This is what I want. And I went ahead, and started. And when we started the class, I must really commend the platform organizers. They did a great job. I know so many of us, we have will I say, stage fright when it comes to presenting. Not that we don't know what to say, but when it comes to presentation, we have cold feet. We don't want to, even though we know what to say and what to do, just want to, keep ourselves away from it and say, no, I don't want to. But I found myself, taking up presentation, which is a good one for me, because after the presentation, I told myself, you see, you can do this, even go ahead and
you
do
can.
this. Yeah, I can say it over and over that the platform has given me so much confidence, and it has made me to set some goals. And I know years to come, I'll come back to Techy accountants and remind them of this testimonial, that this was what I said, this is what I've achieved. Because right now, I went back to the drawing board and reminded myself of the things I wanted to do in this profession. And I've started, this first stage, this stage one. And I know with the help of God, I'm going to get to the final stage. And
Amen.
Say a big thank you to Tony and Akru, Kemi, and so many other people that we don't see, but they are working behind the scene. You guys are great, guys. And I thank you all for the motivation. There were times that, with work stress and, trying to balance your work life with family, you have to just tell yourself, let me relax, and you check your email and WhatsApp message, you see a mail from Kemi or Toyin, encouraging us that you can push, you can get to the end of this thing, you can't stop on the way. And that's what everyone needs. Everybody is important. There are some set of persons that need just a push, and once they get that push, the sky is just the starting point, not the limit. So
thank you very much.
I'd like to say a big thank you for this opportunity. And I look forward to a greater, news concerning Techy accountants. I look forward to hearing good news about the platform. And I strongly believe that the platform is going to go places. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ife Bakri. Thank you so much for that, because you were not even prepared to say this. So it's like you had so much to tell us, and we just called you, and then you said it. Thank you very much. And thank you also for seeing this to the end. Thank you for not quitting along the way, for making our job easier too. So thank you very much. Your motivation to younger people, that you can always aspire to be more, no matter your age, no matter your level. You can always go back to the drawing board at any point in time. You're not too old to learn.
Yeah.
And you're not too big to learn. So thank you very much for being part of us. And we are so, so happy that you came and you found this session very insightful, and you're leaving the season a better professional. Your family and we would always be in touch from this time forward. And yes, you will hear bigger news concerning the brand. We're working on getting bigger, and you're going to hear bigger news concerning us. Thank you very much, Ife Bakri.
Thank you. Thank you, Kemi.
Thank you. All right. So you've heard it from somebody that.
Right, Kemi, thank you. Kemi, thank you. Catherine, we are back.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. Okay, so let's just dive into the questions because we don't have much time again. Between accounting and finance, which one is the best option to go for in terms of professional courses like ACCA, CPA in accounting, and CFA in finance?
Yeah. Yeah, I find it hard to answer this one. I think most people do one of maybe two of the three. So for example, they might start with ACCA to get a foundation and then take up CFA, typically, but it all depends. Like if you are clear, for example, that you want to go into investment banking, then do the CFA.
Yeah.
It depends on the kind of clarity you have about what you want to do. I think ACCA is more rounded, so it gives you everything you need, but the others do more specialized.
Yeah, absolutely. How can you streamline? Oh, how can you streamline accounts payable when you have huge outstanding balances from various suppliers?
Yeah, I guess you need to ask yourself why you have such outstanding balances, and probably you need a
Absolutely.
project.
Yeah.
You need a project to deal with that, right? You need people on the phone following up. Probably debt collection, whatever. But you need probably a project to deal with the issues. And in terms of process and stuff, it's, as an auditor, I would say, do your forensic accounting, go backward and figure out what happened to get yourself in that situation. And typically, it's one of three things, like either, things weren't documented on time, people weren't executing the follow-ups, or, invoices weren't getting to your suppliers. So do your forensics to figure out what went wrong and then change your processes.
Yeah. And possibly they've not leveraged on technology. I think an ERP will help also in ensuring that you don't have huge outstanding payables at the end of a period. Because with ERP, everything is properly automated. You know when an invoice is going to be due, so you can work towards it, or you can group the payment also. Yeah. Let's move to the next question. How do we differentiate ourselves as finance professionals? I think that's what Catherine has said throughout today. How to learn the accounting software. We have different courses on that. We just finished Sage Evolution. We just finished the training on Sage Evolution. We had about 1,000 signups. So please look out for all our courses. If you come for our academy, definitely you get to learn one, either QuickBooks or Sage. So just look out for our courses. Which IT skill can I incorporate into my accounting and finance professional so that, into my accounting and finance profession so that I can be marketable?
So again, I would say the basics, the principles of sort of data science is always a good idea. And adding all the great courses that the Techy Accountant is providing is always great. But you want to give yourself the best position to leverage where the direction of travel of accounting. So I know I used to work at a big multinational, as I mentioned, and I was talking to one of my friends who runs Record to Report in that multinational, and she was telling me that they are hiring data scientists. They're hiring a lot more data scientists now. So yeah, that's always a great skill.
Yeah. Data scientist and data analytics.
Yes.
Data analyst rather. I think those are the two skills right now that any accounting or finance professional can merge, to their core, to their fundamental skills. And guess what, guys? We are launching that course next month. So
excellent.
Definitely, because that's what we're all about, empowering the future accountants. That's what we're all about. So we're launching a course on that. We have a partnership with another organization. And so be on the lookout for our data analytics course. Yes. Where should I start? I graduated 2019 and I have not yet gotten even an internship.
I would start with volunteering to get something on your CV.
Yeah.
If this is the situation that you're in. And not all volunteering work has to be for zero pay. Like sometimes there's stipends, or, you can earn a little bit with these types of gigs. But definitely get some experience on the table, because that's going to help you.
Yeah. True. Most people will say that the finance field is challenging. What does it take to achieve career success in this field?
Um, I wouldn't call it any more challenging than anything else I've done in my career. I've done supply chain too. But I think, look, it's one of the fields where accuracy, like if you think about the values or qualities that are most important, things like accuracy, integrity, ability to assimilate large
Yeah,
amounts of data in a short space of time, that analytical skill. Those are probably the most fundamental things you need. As you to stay in finance, to grow in the company, I would say, it's a lot of the soft skills, right? So how you're able
yeah,
to negotiate and move people, to inspire people to deliver the objectives.
yeah. How did you attain all qualifications while working?
Yeah, so I did a mix. I when I when I started out, I did a few courses on the side, and I had courses with the company as well. So that was pretty good. I did take a sabbatical, for example, when I did my MBA. So I took a year of no pay just to focus on doing that. But in order to really get good at doing two things, it's like starting a side gig as well. It's like you really need to get productive about how you use your time,
Yeah,
and really planning things out, really having, they call it time blocking, but really organizing your time around what you need to achieve. And also making sure that when you are spending the time that you're focused. So techniques for mindfulness, etc., really help with that kind of hyper focus that you need when you're doing multiple jobs, right? I think when you're a mother, you probably get this better than other people, because you probably have to do that anyway.
yes,
But yes, I do think that this is something that requires you developing personal habits, that will help you to succeed.
absolutely. I met with a young graduate last week, and she told me she quit her job, the job she had just started for 6 months. And I was like, why? She said, because she had to write exams.
Mm.
Then I looked at her like, you know, after I finished speaking with her, she realized that she did not make the best decision at that time. So what she did was to take on, she did not put into consideration that she was working and she wanted to write all the papers at once. I
Yeah.
told her that that's most likely a recipe for failure. There's no way. You're not Superman. Superman, I guess, only exists in movies.
Yeah.
But when it comes to real life, you're really not a Superman. And the point is that, just as you said, you just have to develop this, they call it life skills, basically. You just have to develop life skills for you to be able to do this while working. I actually became ACCA chartered while working. I was running two jobs at that time, and trust me, I got my papers. The first one I wrote three papers. A diet was 6 months then, so for 6 months. But you see, my life was in a triangular format, like from home to work to the library, home, work, library, like literally that was my life for, about 2 years that I had to write my exam. But because I had a goal, I was committed to it. I did not feel like I was missing out on, the partying and all. There will always be enough party to go around for a lifetime. So don't think you're missing out on anything. Make those sacrifices if you have to right now. Make those sacrifices if you have to, so that your future will thank you, or you will
Yeah.
have a better future. Yeah. Okay, for someone taking, I think this is about the question. This is the second to the last question. We cannot take all the questions. I have 42 slides here. We're just in 26, so that means we cannot take all the questions. So, so guys, but this is the second to the last, so that we can move to the next aspect of the summit, which is actually networking, and it's very, very important. Also, as I said, we're not just here to listen to us, but also to connect, to get to know each other, to build friendship. And you really don't know what could come out of that. So for someone taking audits as a career, aside being technologically inclined, what other aspects should be focused on to help advance the career?
Yeah,
I like this question. This person wants to, he or she knows what she wants or he wants. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I've done audits. So I've done audit for 5 years, but within a company. So it was internal audit, not external audit. I think to be a good auditor, you really have to be well versed on the main things that are happening in the industries that you work in. It requires a broader understanding than just the finance. The finance is important, but you really need to understand the context that you're working in. A lot of auditing is about risk management. It's about understanding the balance between risk and control. So you really need to get. I would recommend having a bit of baseline experience before you do it. But if you're starting in the audit world, really decide on a mentor or someone to model afterward. Like find someone in that organization who you think really is outstanding and start modeling them. What are they reading? What are they getting involved in? How are they networking? Whatever it is. But I think it's one of those things that brings more skills. It's not just the accounting skill, but it is more the business skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And nowadays also in the audits field, a lot of technology is being used. So it's not just not just knowing the technology, but knowing how to use them also. It's actually it's
Yes.
a very important skill. In fact, now you now have almost every organization has an aspect of their audits, which is for IT. So you have IT audits, so that's one way also you can advance your career. So this is the last question. Is self-employment possible in the finance profession? Why not?
Easy answer, yes.
Yes, it is. Yes. Okay. So, okay, let me just scan. I'm going to take one more question. So I'll just look through and pick another question I think will be beneficial to all. Do you offer courses on this platform? Yes, we do. I want step-by-step process to prepare financial statements. Join our academy. You will learn how to do that. They had that class yesterday. They learned how to prepare financial statements. So, yep. Join us. Okay, so how can data? I think you've spoken about this also.
Yeah, I think on this topic of the field of data science being flooded, I think that
Yes.
the thing about being a data scientist is it's kind of like what I said earlier, but you have to combine tech with another skill. So
Yes.
it's not just being a data scientist, it's being an accountant who's a data scientist. Like that adds value. It's how you combine the skills and understand that this understanding of coding and of analyzing data is just one ingredient to all the jobs that we need to do. It's like maths and English, we all learn maths and English in school. Now data is one of those.
Yes, absolutely. I think that being a data analyst or scientist would definitely give any accountant a competitive edge, because now all the biggest companies we know, like the conglomerates, the big companies, the top tier companies, they're thriving on data. So most organizations also are actually trying to see how much they can get. They're diving into their data. They want to get more information from their data so that they're able to make better decisions. So I'm 100% certain that this is a skill that will give you a competitive edge and would make you really relevant to any organization in this time and age. So yes, it's a good place to, it's a good lane to pursue, basically. All right, so that's the end to our question and answer session. That's about the questions we can take within the time that we have. So I'll hand over to Kemi now to coordinate the networking session before we go back to having a good evening. So Catherine, before they do that, Catherine, thank you for doing this. Thank you for preparing well for this. Thank you for spending your evening with us. Like, it's been so good having you here and having this conversation with you.
Thank you very much. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone. And I wish you very much success in your careers as you progress.